Just saw, that is severe. 6, 7.
This is what it ended up looking like.
Well, good morning, everyone. Today is Friday, and you guys know what that means. We're getting into a workout. Now, you're probably wondering, what the hell was that in my face? Because, yeah, in reality, who sleeps like this, right? But I'm going to get into it because I think it is very important, or at least a very important part of this entire weight loss journey, weight loss and health journey. It's probably one of the most important parts, has been for me. And I don't know, I feel like a lot of people aren't aware of it, and you might be one of them. So first, before we get into this, I'm going to show you something. Yeah, that's me. A few years ago, I was visiting, and my brother happened to take a video because he was really concerned. If you guys don't know exactly what you just saw, that is severe sleep apnea, and it's really, really bad. So I was always known for being a very loud snorer. And every time that I would visit someone, I would get so self-conscious if I was staying with friends, and, I would always try to premise the whole situation by saying, guys, like, I'm a really heavy snorer. And everyone would always be like, oh, that's okay, my partner snores, or, like, everyone was always trying to be nice. And then the next day, everyone would be like, oh my God, I thought the house was falling down. It was like a bear had gotten into the kitchen, like someone was like, there was a chainsaw. It was bad, like it was really, really bad, as you guys saw. And snoring in and of itself is not the terrible part about it. The terrible part was the part where you saw me gasping for air, and not actually getting any. So, because that's the sleep apnea portion of it, and that's what's really dangerous. So, let's get into the workout, and we can have this conversation as we do our workout. You guys know that I've been cleaning because I'm having guests this weekend, and I found these, which are little like workout gloves to make holding onto the kettlebell a little easier on your hands, and they're kind of cool. And so I was cleaning, moving things around, and then I found them, so I'm gonna use them. I feel super cool with my workout gloves. All right, let's get into it. You guys got all your stuff. You're ready to get into this workout. We're doing it together. You know that you can't really skip it. We're only doing this twice a week, 20 minutes. So let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Whew. So, yeah, I was always a very loud snorer, and I was extremely self-conscious about it. And I remember like staying with friends was always that dreadful moment of like having to explain, like, guys, I remember at some point I started carrying like ear plugs around with me to make sure that if I was going to be staying at someone's place, I would at least offer them. I remember falling asleep on planes was horrible because, you feel bad, and then people also feel bad, but they don't want to, like, nobody wants to like wake someone up. And I remember once staying at a hostel in Costa Rica, and same thing. It's just like I'm sleeping, I'm snoring, I'm keeping everybody up, and so like, people get frustrated. They're trying to sleep, and there you are keeping them from sleeping. So I remember like trying to sleep, and then all of a sudden people go like in your bunk bed, trying to like wake you up. And the problem is that that'll wake me up. I know you're already up. That'll wake me up, and then I'll go right back to sleep, and the snoring will continue. So it's an endless cycle. But this video that you guys just saw, my brother took, and he was really concerned for obvious reasons. And so I decided to go and get a sleep test. Well, he strongly suggested. All right, let's get another set. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. He strongly suggested that I go and get a sleep test, which I did. This is a few years ago. I was living in Los Angeles at the time. And the video was taken here in Maryland. And so I go back to LA, and, I go to get my sleep test. And again, this was a few years ago. I feel like sleep apnea is so much more common now. Not that it wasn't common back then, but it's more diagnosed now, especially in younger people. So it was me in the waiting room, and everyone was like above 60, right? Because it's basically men above 60 that have sleep apnea, right? Like younger people don't have, or at least before it was like younger people don't have sleep apnea. So anyway, I do, like I go and I see the doctor recommends the sleep test. I go get the sleep test, and then like the next day I go home and I get this like almost frantic call from my doctor. All right, one more set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30. 30. Okay. So I get this frantic call from my doctor. It says, "Where are you? Don't drive. Don't operate heavy machinery. Don't do anything. Sit down." Turns out that I had very severe sleep apnea. And again, for those of you who might not know, sleep apnea is when your soft palate, your tongue, all the soft tissue in the back of your mouth and your throat relaxes so much and it collapses into your trachea and it blocks air from reaching. So it's like you're choking from the inside, basically. My apnea, so the blockage of the airways was so bad that, and now everybody knows this, but because of COVID, and we were, worrying about blood oxygen saturation, making sure that, your blood was oxygenated and that your blood ox was like above 95%, right? So basically, if you want to be okay, your blood oxygen saturation has to be above 95%, right? Between 95 and 100 is where everybody wants to be. 90, still okay, but really 95 and above, right? And that's where everybody wants to be. That means that you're breathing, you're getting enough oxygen, and then that oxygen is reaching the bloodstream, and then it's being circulated all over your body and reaching all your organs, and basically everywhere you need oxygen. And so getting enough oxygen so that you can oxygenate your blood and, again. So you want it to be above 95%. Care to guess what mine was? All right, let's do another set. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Whew. So you want it to be above 95%. Mine, at some point, it was so bad that it dropped to 69%. That is dangerous. Those are very dangerous levels, which means that basically I was slowly dying. And the reason my doctor called in such a frantic manner is because I was severely sleep deprived. Severely in so many ways. Basically, the way that it works is you fall asleep, and then your body relaxes, and then your soft tissue collapses, and you can't wake up, and you can't breathe. And so you start doing the thing that you saw in the video, see? And so as you're choking and you can't get any air in, your brain basically wakes you up. Not enough to be conscious, but just like nudges you so that you wake up and your muscles contract a little bit, they're not as relaxed, and then air can get through. And you'll do this multiple times. And everybody does this to a certain extent, but like mine was bad. I can't remember exactly how many episodes I was having, but basically someone with severe sleep apnea like this, it happens so often that your brain can never really get any deep sleep, any REM sleep. Like, you're trying to sleep and you can't, because the moment you relax, your airways get blocked and your brain nudges you to wake you up so that you'll breathe and don't die, right? And so when that happens, your sleep quality is so poor, so poor. And, imagine just being that sleep deprived. So that is why my doctor was so worried about this. Let's do another set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. And so, starting in that moment, I had to get what is known as a CPAP machine, continuous positive air pressure machine. And it's basically that thing that everybody hates, that you like strap something on your face and basically it blows air with a certain level of pressure. And that is determined by your doctor during the sleep test to figure out how much pressure you need to keep the airways open. So I was really dreading it. I was really dreading getting the CPAP machine because it's like, fuck, you can't just go to sleep. It's like a whole thing. And so, and everybody always complained how uncomfortable it was and how difficult it was. Oh shit, I forgot to do this. How difficult it was to get used to it. And just overall, we've all heard the stories or, seen it, I don't know, in a movie or something, that it just always feels like it's such a horrible, horrible thing, right? But I basically didn't really have a choice. So I had to get one. All right, let me get into another set. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. So yeah, I had to get one. And the first night was horrible. And it was horrible not because of the machine, but yet again, it's where the head comes in and tries to fuck everything up. I put on the thing, and I basically had a panic attack. It felt really claustrophobic, and I felt like I couldn't breathe. It is a little awkward at first to get used to the pressure, because it's like, like it's on there. Or like, I think I had a full mask that first time, but it's like there and it's blowing air and there's a certain level of pressure and it just feels awkward. And so I was feeling a little, and I'm not a claustrophobic person, but I was feeling very claustrophobic in the moment. But mostly it was this sort of, I don't know how to describe it, this sadness, but also like a panic attack of feeling like, holy shit, is this the rest of my life? And it almost felt like a chain and ball type thing, that I was like, am I gonna be fucking tethered to this shit for the rest of my life? And it just felt like, just fucking kill me now. I'm miserable. So a slight difference in how I'm used to sleeping, because I can't even tell you, like, was it uncomfortable? I don't know. I was feeling so overwhelmed with emotion from, I don't know what to do with this. And oh my God, is this going to be the rest of my life? And oh, I can't believe this. And so it just became this huge thing. And it blew out of proportion completely. All right, let me try this again. One more set. 61, 62, 63. 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70. And so that first night wasn't great. I was too anxious, but I was committed. I was committed to the process. And so I stuck with it, and I stuck with it, and I stuck with it. And then eventually, and that eventually, honestly, probably took a week, maybe two, for me to get really comfortable with it. Something else that I had to figure out was they did not design CPAP machines for people with dreads, especially with big ass dreads like mine. And so my head's already big, and it's made a lot bigger by my hair, and it would just, the mask didn't fit and the whole thing. And so I also had the extra step of figuring out how to make the mask work with my hair. And it took a couple of tries figuring out how to do it, and eventually came up with a way to do it. I'll show you guys eventually at some point. But I figured out how to make it work and eventually got used to it, right? So one thing after another, this isn't working, let's try something else. And it really just a week or two, and it was fucking life-changing, guys. I don't even know like how to, I forgot to do this. Life-changing it was. Let me get into another set, because I'll keep talking and forget that we're working out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 80. So, before the CPAP, there were so many things that I couldn't do. I could not go to a movie. You put me in any kind of movie theater or play or anything, and I would fall asleep. It didn't matter what time of day it was. You sit me down, I would fall asleep, period. That was it. Public transportation, another one of those things, could not do. I get on a bus or a train or a subway or a cab or anywhere, would pass out. Could not stay awake. Honestly, I could fall asleep anytime. I was so sleep deprived that I could fall asleep at any moment. Any time of day, basically anywhere. If I had a passive moment, I was probably nodding off. And yeah, again, I wasn't sleeping at night because every time I tried to sleep, my brain would wake me up to try to tell me, yo, you gotta breathe or you're gonna die. And actually, that's something interesting because there's something called a central sleep apnea, which is basically, you're so tired, but you're choking, right? So your airways are blocked and you're choking. Your brain tries to wake you up so that you'll breathe, that micro, like, wake you up. But your body is so tired that it's not responding. And eventually your brain says, fuck it, we tried, he's not gonna wake up, if he dies, he dies. And I basically had like 2 of those that first time I got the sleep test. Like my brain tried to wake me up and my body was so tired that it didn't. And yeah, it's crazy to think that it can get to levels that dangerous. So anyway, as I started using the CPAP and doing all of the things, well, not really all of the things, just the CPAP, that started to change. So energy levels go up. There was also, my doctor said, you know, now that you're treating your sleep apnea, it might help with your weight loss and you might actually start losing weight. I didn't, because, you know, obesity problem was not, I mean, the sleep apnea didn't help, but it was also related to my poor eating habits. And so, but tackling that first thing gives you more energy to try to tackle other problems. Because the moment you're so sleep deprived, everything is shit. Everything is absolute shit, and you're not going to want to do anything. You have no energy. Like last week when I was feeling so burnt out, it's like feeling that way all the fucking time. You just feel depressed and lethargic, and it just, so it was a very important step for me. Let me keep going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 90. So, because also, if you have untreated sleep apnea, it just puts crazy strain on your heart. It puts, strain on your vascular system, your blood pressure, like everything. Everything suffers. I mean, untreated sleep apnea is such a motherfucker. And so in that way, I can't imagine being able to get through all of this if on top of everything, I wasn't sleeping well and getting a good night's sleep and resting and having enough energy for everything. So step 1 was to figure out the sleep apnea situation. Because if we're not sleeping right, everything is shit. Nothing really works. It's like number 1 thing. Now, let's talk about this thing that I was wearing last night. So there are different types of sleep apnea masks. Some of them are like a full face mask that covers your nose and your mouth. My brother uses one of those. And then there are other ones like a nasal mask that just kind of goes over your nose, or a nasal pillow that has like these little 2 protrusions that go into your nose. And so I like those better because they're a lower profile, they're easier to pack, But the only problem is that sometimes your mouth will open, and I tend to exhale a little bit through my mouth. So just go like, sleep in, breathe in through my nose, and then just like. And for the longest time, I had been thinking, how can I keep my mouth from doing this? And I always thought, like, I don't know, maybe I'll put a piece of tape or something. And, but I never really, it was always in the back of my head, but in the back of my mind, but I wasn't really, being proactive about it. And then recently, I don't remember what it was, I came across this thing called hostage tape. And it basically was saying, people who don't have sleep apnea were wearing it to keep them from breathing through their mouth and helping them rest better. And I thought, oh, this is perfect. This is what I need. And I saw that on their website, people with facial hair were wearing it. So I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna get one of those. And that's what I got, and I wore it last night for the first time. So first test, it was a disaster. That thing is intense and is stuck to my mustache, something fierce. And I suffered this morning. It took me 15 minutes to get that thing off, and I had to use water to help dissolve the adhesive, and it didn't work. Also, it didn't get the corners of my mouth, I guess. And so, because I don't know if I did it right. And so I woke up a couple times in the middle of the night going exhaling through the corner of my mouth. And it was different enough that it woke me up. So the first test did not work. And I got a fucking 90-day supply. These things are not cheap. So I'm not gonna give up just yet because that's just not me. So what I'm thinking is I'm gonna cut a small piece. So make it, make it a little bit smaller and see if I can get just my lips underneath the mustache and here before it gets to the rest of my beard. And see if that'll help get the corners and stuff. I don't know. It might just be something that's not worth doing because it's too cumbersome. But, we're going to give it a couple tries and see if it works. All right, let me do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 100. Whew, we did it. Ugh. We did it, you guys. Good job. Anyway, so that's the thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Let me just sit for a moment. It's the thing that I wanted to talk to you guys about. If you've been told you snore, or if you sleep with someone in the same bed, ask them. Now you have the video of me having sleep apnea at the beginning of this video. And, that'll tell you. Are you doing that? Show them that video and ask, someone you sleep with or someone who can check on you while you're sleeping, are you doing this? And probably someone who sleeps with you because they're more likely to see it, because even if you have sleep apnea, you might not be doing it all the time. And so if someone comes in at the moment where you don't have it and then you're told, oh, no, you weren't doing that, then, and if you, by any chance have any reason to suspect it, just go get a sleep test. They even have ones that you can do at home, but just get a sleep test. It doesn't matter if you're not overweight because, my brother has sleep apnea and now he sleeps with a CPAP. And, he was overweight when he was diagnosed. But my sister is not overweight at all. She's like the most fit person I know. And she has sleep apnea because it's genetic. For some people, it's just in the anatomy of your body, regardless of your weight. Of course, being overweight doesn't help. And for some people, losing the weight might cure it. But that's not everybody. Like for me and my sister, my siblings and I, and probably my parents, they just refuse to do it. But we just have it. It's just part of our deal. It's part of our anatomy, part of our DNA. So if you at all suspect that that might be you, that you could have that, just do it. Just get a sleep test. There's also like questionnaires that you can fill out online to see if you have sleep apnea. Because if you do and it's severe enough and then you get it treated and you get the right treatment, it is life-changing in terms of energy and just your outlook on life. But anyway, so I will report back to see how we're doing with the fucking hostage tape, but it did not work for me this first night. So we're going to keep trying to see what happens. But good job on the workout, guys. I'm gonna shower and stuff and then we'll make some lunch. All right, see you in a bit. Well, I'm making the executive decision to skip breakfast and lunch today. And I know we did a workout and I know I shouldn't be doing this, but fucking Lumen gave me a 4 this morning. A 4. And you guys saw what I ate yesterday, It was a liquid day. I had a perfect thing. I guess we did talk about last night that I was eating the carbs later on, but still plenty of fat and protein. So what the fuck? Anyway, so I got a 4, which means that I have super low carbs for today. And so since I have a birthday dinner to go to tonight, I'm making the executive decision to skip breakfast and lunch and just have my calories at dinner tonight. I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't know if this is the right call. That's just what I'm doing. So that's it. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm going to get to work and then I'm going to go to my dinner and we'll debrief after. All right. See you in a bit. Well, it's technically the next day. It'll still be the same day for you guys, but it's the next day for me. Dinner was okay.
it was a hibachi restaurant, and the option that we had for the birthday included both fried rice and noodles. And so I hadn't eaten anything all day, as you guys know. And so, I mean, I try to keep it to a minimum, and I couldn't really measure it, but probably all my carbs and then some were in that meal. So it is what it is. Let me just show you real quick. So yeah, as you can see here, like basically like this portion of rice, I don't know, it's like, no, it's hard to gauge it. I think like based on what Lumen says, that's like 4 portions of carbs. I don't know, 3 maybe. I tend to exaggerate a little bit with the amount, and then it's like, it's almost like now I'm going to the other side. Like before this, I used to think that it was less always, and then turns out that I was eating much more, and now it's the opposite. I'm like, oh no, that's like 5 servings, and it turns out it's like 2. So I don't know, like maybe 3. So that's like 45, and then it was basically the same amount of noodles. So like 90 grams of carbs there, and I technically had 75. So it's difficult to gauge exactly like how much everything is. But anyway, this is what it ended up looking like when I remember to take a picture. And I had some steak and lobster and scallops with it and vegetables. So, you know, it's not horrible. But again, you know, these are the things that I'm still learning to navigate, because, you know, there's a part of me that wants to be really anal about this, and like, it's like, oh, stop everybody, I need to weigh all my food. And, you know, obviously that doesn't always fly. And so we're still learning to navigate this situation and how this works outside of this, right? Outside of the things that we can control. And ideally, we want to control it as much as possible, because that's the goal. I mean, it happens sometimes that it would be, you know, like we go out to dinner, and then that sort of derail us, and then we get back here and continue, you know, the same trend. And so like that's where you go, like, okay, we get back to the place that we control, and we're gonna control, you know, and then just kind of get back on plan. I don't know if what I'm saying makes any sense, but the idea is that, okay, we know that we can control this, and we can be okay here, but how does that translate to other situations where we can't really control it? Anyway, yeah, so that is it for today. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Today for me, tomorrow for you guys. All right, see you in a bit.